BJ Palmer once said, once you think you're ripe, that's when you rot. So many docs in our profession get to a level of success and say, man, I've got it all right now. And then they stop and their practice starts to flounder. That's when they start expressing burnout. And it all comes from a core belief system that has been shattered and not followed and understood. And that is why I'm pleased and honored to bring on our dear friend, Dr. Neil Cohen, who is the C2. He is the Vice President of Presidential Affairs at Sherman College of Chiropractic, the Fountainhead, the school that is preeminently the best chiropractic school on planet Earth. Dr. Cohen. Neil, brother, glad to have you on the Chiropractors Edge today.
Jake, you know you're one of my favorite people on planet Earth. You are an amazing servant, lover, and giver, and I am blessed and honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. Neil and I have met several years ago. For the first time, I got to meet and hang out with Neil on his home grounds, but Neil is everywhere. We've seen Neil all over the country, in Puerto Rico and Florida and Mile High here in Colorado. We've seen each other everywhere, and it was great to see you at Lyceum. And man, what a powerful opportunity to see some of the most successful doctors on planet Earth who live and truly understand the principles of chiropractic. What an amazing thing to see that this is how it's done, and this is how it's done right.
What a week. We had almost 700 people on campus at Sherman College last weekend to experience not only the campus, but the science, art, and philosophy of chiropractic historically as BJ and DD laid it down. And we're so proud of our history. We're so proud of our language. We're so proud of just what chiropractic can do to a fallen world. It's just amazing. And to gather together with such fellowship with people like Irene Gold and Jack Borla and just Christopher Kent, Brian Dooley, all of these folks, and yourself, Jake, and just what a great weekend we had. Thank you for being there.
Oh, it was my honor. I've aspired to years to be there. And fortunately, we're at a place in practice and life where we can make these things happen so that we can help other people get where they want to get even faster. You know, one of my dear mentors and friends, Dave Meltzer, Sean Dale Lacey book teach that, you know, the fastest way to get to any destination is to ask someone who's already there for directions. And I feel I'm constantly asking you for directions because you are where many of us would aspire to be and want to be able to have influence, to be able to have the blessings of financial abundance and wealth. But it all comes down to every time I talk to you, you're not telling me about trick plays. You know, in football, basketball, any game, they're not won by trick plays. They're won by fundamentals. And this is what I love, that you constantly are teaching the fundamentals of chiropractic. And on our pregame show with you and I, you shared something, actually a concept that I'm very familiar with, but from a completely different side view. And I would love to share that because for docs, for those of you who are just starting out, for those who've been practicing 8 to 10 years, those who've been practicing actually quite a while, we all get to a point of complacency or burnout if we don't live these principles that Neil and I are going to talk about right now.
So, yeah, we have to be very guarded about the distractions of the world because, you know, chiropractic is so simple and so profound that sometimes it just, you know, it gets away from us. And it's sort of like driving a car. You know, when you've been driving long enough, you're almost on automatic, but then you find yourself daydreaming sometimes and say, hey, was that light green that I just went through? Because
wow.
you're so innately in tune with the road that of course the light was green. And you know, chiropractic is like that as well. But then the world comes at you and tells you different things. And unless you're rock solid, unless you understand who you are, what you believe, and exactly why you believe it, you can get pulled off center. And that's why in football, the most important thing are the fundamentals. It's blocking and tackling. That's what the game is about, blocking and tackling. If you can get back to the fundamentals of blocking and tackling, then you're going to score points. It's really that simple. And chiropractic is fundamentally about life. It's about life expression. It's about being the best version of yourself. And the way to do that is through the nervous system. And I learned this from Christopher Kent. It was kind of amazing. He said chiropractic is based on 4 simple ideas. The first one is the body is self-healing. And this is the greatest lesson that we can teach our patients and actually teach ourselves, because this is the first thing we tend to forget, especially when the rubber meets the road and we get really sick. Now, there's a time for intervention. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say that that's the only thing you need to do is a chiropractic adjustment, because we have something called limitations of matter. And when we have limitations of matter, sometimes interventions are necessary. But what's more important than that is that the body is actually self-healing. And we know that people, and sometimes chiropractors, have been robbed of that belief that the body can actually heal itself. So by restoring that understanding, that simple proposition within our minds, and teaching that to our patients, our people, and our families, then we have this understanding that let's start at the fundamentals, that the body knows how to heal. We cut ourselves and it heals. So that's number one. Number two is it's about the nervous system. And the nervous system, this is something that we forget as chiropractors. It's responsible for every aspect of our human experience. The nervous system is so important. But yet in this world, it's really minimized. What we maximize is the outworking, is the things that are a result of a bad nervous system. And those are the things that are looked at. But let's take a look at our nervous system. And that chiropractors really are the only ones that do that. Yes. And what I mean by that, and this would come to number 3, they look for interference to that nervous system, which literally not only sabotages your health, but it sabotages your life. And that's really the most important thing. When we look at the 33 principles, the 33 principles do not mention the word health. They mention the word life or living at least 12 times. So chiropractic has always been about life. Chiropractic, the product that we deliver, and I say we deliver because we don't really deliver anything, because we can get our egos in the way and think we're the greatest things since spilled milk. But at the end of the day, we deliver life, more life. Something I heard about 10 years ago really put it in perspective. And this gentleman who had a very successful practice up in the Northeast, he said that, everybody that comes into your office has the same problem. And of course, I said subluxation. He said, yes, but that's not what I'm talking about. He said, everyone that comes into your office has the same problem. And you know what that problem is? Their life is slipping away. And you get the opportunity to find the interference, correct that subluxation, and life is restored. We're in the restoration business. That's number 4. Chiropractors are the only ones on the planet that can correct vertebral subluxations with specificity.
Man, Neil, that is absolutely the core foundation of success within our field, within our profession, is going to those basics. Now, I love, speaking of Jack Borla, he got to share that experience with his child, with his boy, how he almost lost him. And he said, in that moment, and it's a phenomenal story. We've got it on the Chiropractors Edge, but he said basically he was losing his son and just wasn't thriving. And he said, all the money I'd spent on my education, everything I'd ever done, what if everything was designed and built up so that in that one moment of hundreds of thousands of hours put into it, money, blood, sweat, and tears, for me just to give him deliver one adjustment to save his life, it was all worth it. And to have that mentality with every single person we see. My son the other night was coughing, and he goes, "Hey, Dad, can you come? Can you check me?" It's like, yeah. We walked him downstairs, checked him. That's what I love to hear, is when we go to those principles are you subluxated? Let's check there first before we look anywhere else. And the thing that's always, it's tough when you're a parent, right, Neil, when you have a kid who might be sick, and when a disaster or a crisis is facing you due to an accident, injury, limitation of matter, And the first thing that these docs say, hey, doc, here's what's going on. What would you do? I was like, well, what did you find on him? Oh, I haven't even checked him yet. Go check him. The docs that I see that are talking about these miracles constantly is because they know the principles. They know chiropractic. And that's where they look first. If we're looking anywhere else, we're not founded on the message. And I would guarantee there's problems in your business. There's problems in your personal life. There's probably, and I dare say, problems in your marriage as a husband, as a mother, as a father, as a wife. I guarantee that there are problems when you don't have these core roots and this aspect of our life down packed. You can always attribute business problems to these personal problems and relationship problems when we have a lack of understanding. What do you say to the doc? What do you say to the chiropractor who is at a level where, they're coming out of school and they've been told something, and we've all been out of school a little, some of us been out of school a little while, but they say, I'm told constantly, sometimes by my docs, you're gonna have to unlearn this once you get out of there. What are the things that we should never unlearn?
So that's a great question. And of course, school these days has become more diagnostic than ever before. And so, and there's a lot of reasons for that, and it would probably take longer than this podcast to talk about those things. But it's very important always, and this is just not in school, but in life, to guard your mind. You have to know what something is to know what something is not. It's very hard to describe evil without talking about good. You have to juxtapose what chiropractic is and what chiropractic is not. Unfortunately, in education today, you're going to learn both. And the reason why you're going to learn both is because you have to pass something called the national boards. And the national boards really are not about chiropractic necessarily. They're about being a provider that can provide a service and understand anatomy, physiology, all the things that any of us for a long time have been in practice know that are not as important as locating and correcting a vertebral subluxation. I mean, you could know where the lateral femoral cutaneous nerve is. You could know the innervation of C5 and C6. It's all very important. And I don't mean to attenuate science at all. I think science is co-equal and co-glorious to art and philosophy. Don't get me wrong. But when you're in practice on a daily basis, very few people are going to get into a physiological discussion with you about neurology or anything else. But they will ask you if you could help their baby. And you see, that's the question you need to be able to answer. You have to be able to say yes. But also, if you're going to say yes, you better be prepared to know how to help that baby. And by helping that baby, what I mean is check them. If they're subluxated, do your thing. If they're not, leave them alone. Because there's two things you can do very badly. One is you could adjust somebody that's clear. You don't want to do that. And the other is to let somebody leave your office that's subluxated without an adjustment. So chiropractic is really not about the adjustment. It's about not adjusting. I heard Sean Dill say this several years ago. And of course, Sean is one of the smartest guys I've ever heard. And he said, my goal in life is to never receive another chiropractic adjustment again. And, it caused me to pause. I'm like, what did he just say? I don't understand it. But then, of course, he laid it out and he said, I want to be clear for the rest of my life, starting this day forward. So as a chiropractor, your job isn't to deliver an adjustment like the medical doctor's job is to deliver a medication. Because we all have heard the story where people go to a medical doctor, they can't find anything wrong with them, even though they have symptoms, but yet they give them a prescription. We can't be prescriptive when it comes to chiropractic. Yes. We have to really be prescriptive when it comes to being subluxated. And that's the benchmark for delivering a chiropractic adjustment. And I think that's gotten confused over the years. And I think a lot of well-meaning chiropractors think that they have to adjust everybody that walks in their door to substantiate the fee. you know what? I think it's just as valuable to be able to tell somebody you're clear, but you have to be able to deliver that value early on in your practice. You can't just tell people, about being clear after they've been coming in for a while. You have to let them know at the outset, that's our goal. Our goal is to not adjust you. Our goal is to check you regularly to ensure that you don't have this dangerous, profound nerve interference that you may never feel that's affecting your life and affecting your future. And as long as we're clear on that, you're going to know the reason why you're coming into our office.
That is so critical to understand that point, that a lot of docs think, man, if I didn't deliver a service, well, you're delivering a service that no one on earth can do except for you. You know how to localize, analyze, detect, and correct vertebral subluxation. I mean, if I were to go to the dentist and they were to spend 45 minutes on me and say, actually, hey, Jake, wow, your teeth are super healthy. They're great. Keep doing what you're doing. They might give some words of counsel. They're still going to charge me the $100 or whatever whatever the service was. And I don't think, oh, well, they didn't do anything. But why do chiropractors think that? Because we start thinking of money, we start thinking mechanistic as opposed to their life. I absolutely love when we start checking patients, and we do full spine, checks in our practice, and I'll check and I'll say, oh my gosh, John, man, can you feel this? They're like, yeah, doc, it feels phenomenal. I'm like, it does. And we always pre-frame with our patients that healing, you're going to feel stuff. Sometimes things get worse before they get better, but that's what healing is. But the other day I checked probably 15, 20 patients almost in a row. That was phenomenal, or little tweaks here and there. And for them to hear that and for them to say, doc, I've been seeing these results in my life. I've been seeing these functional changes. My wife told me I'm happier, I'm healthier, I'm not as grumpy. Things that would have ticked me off and are not ticking me off again. That's when you start to see fire lit up in your patients. That's when you see your team get lit up. That's when you see you get lit up because you're on purpose. You're focusing on them. Jim Parker said, loving service is my first technique. When we truly love the person in front of us and we understand chiropractic, that certainty and that passion then mold together. And moral values then dictate what is going to happen in our life, and people trust you. When people say, doc, I trust you. My last doc would hammer this, and I still wasn't getting better. I trust you because they see you from a moral stand ground. And again, it goes back to the fundamentals of understanding the power that we have in our art, science, and philosophy of chiropractic.
And if I may add to that, just beautiful what you're saying. Chiropractic has always been about relationships. And, trust is the foundation of every relationship. And so our goal is to build trust with our patients. And we have to be transparent. We have to be who we are. We have to get our ego out of the way. And sometimes it's tough love with people. Don't get me wrong, but you can deliver tough love if you have trust as the foundation in your relationship. The other thing I think that chiropractors need to understand and really deliver this message to their people, their patients, is that you're not coming in for what you have, because what you have is what brought you into the office. But what are we preventing by you continuing to come in and staying clear and unsubluxated? What are we preventing from happening? And the answer is we don't know. We don't know. We don't know if someone, and just listen carefully when I say this, because I don't want to have the hair raised on people's arms, but we don't know if someone's going to feel better coming into our office when we begin care. Now, I can tell you this, being in practice for 28 years, 90% or more of the people that come into your office are going to get better. I mean, that's just it. But you can't promise 100% of the people if only 90% are going to get better. And that's where we come into the understanding of what the promise of chiropractic is. And the promise is always the promise versus the potential. And what chiropractors make the mistake of doing is they promise the potential. Oh, I can help that. Oh, that's easy. Oh, I do headaches all the time. But at the end of the day, you can't promise that, because BJ himself said you can't prognosticate any case with certainty. You can't. Correct. He said that. Correct. And that was in clinical controlled studies. And what that means is, if we can't say you can definitely get better, What can we say? Well, we can say what the promise is. And the promise is that I can get you clear. And if I get you clear, you need to let me know what that looks like. And I don't mean today, I mean in 3 months. Let's get you clear. Let's get your body clear for 120 days. And then let me know what your life looks like. Is your marriage better? Do you like your job more?
Yes.
Are you more patient with your children? Do you have more energy? Are you sleeping better? All of the things that we know chiropractic will do, regardless of whatever they came in with, because that's the other thing. They may come in with one thing and then they tell you, I never told you this, but I had this rash on my elbow for like 17 years and it's gone. Like, do you think it's the chiropractic? That's the question they always ask. And, we know it's because they're living clear. So understand the difference between the promise, living clear, and the potential, what results from living clear. And I think chiropractors need to understand that more than the patients do, because we always want to deliver hope. We are hope doctors, and we never want to say, well, I don't know if I can help you. That's not what I'm saying. You want to deliver hope, especially if 90% are getting better. You don't want to say, I don't know, because you can say, hey, listen, 90% of the people that come in here get better. But here's what I can tell you. 100% of the people coming in here live clear. And that's the truth.
You taught some huge principles right there, obviously based off your experience. And one thing I like to focus on is we need to be pre-framing everything we're doing with the patient to let them understand that. We need to let them, how many times do people come in with a mechanistic problem, sciatica or, acid reflux or whatever it is, but they've been told that, you're after everything that I've ever been through, you're the person who's constantly popping up that I've been told I need to trust. We need to pre-frame that and what that looks like. I used to get in my early career, hey, doc, do you think my son could benefit? Hey, do you think ear infections could be helped with chiropractic? Do you think chiropractic could help with? Do you think chiropractic could help with? And now the question always happens, hey, doc, after our first, second, or third visit in my practice, without fail, we have between 1 and 3 referrals from every patient. And they always say, I need it. And I love it when they say, it's time for my husband to come get checked. He's had these issues for so long, and he actually has a few other issues, and he needs to get his spine checked. When you pre-frame that and you teach chiropractic, now the higher philosophy, those higher understanding, the 33 principles, those are for us to really understand. Those are for us. But just like you teach so eloquently, I mean, I couldn't write down faster your notes from Lyceum. It was fantastic. That chiropractic is good for you. My gosh, we need a replay of that, by the way. I just talked to Dr. Monique, who's one of the most brilliant women I've ever met in my entire life, who makes the science so simple because she understands it. If you don't understand a principle that you can explain it to a 5-year-old, or a 5-year-old couldn't explain it to you, you don't know it well enough. So pre-framing with our patients is so critical so they get it, so that they constantly stop looking at it from a mechanistic point of view other than, I've got interference, I should get checked. I'd like to take a path with you, if I may.
Sure.
You are so successful at a point right now where you are giving at this level of your life so much to Sherman, so much to chiropractic, so much to your students, so much to the faculty, so much to me and doctors around the world. And I would like to talk about the blessings you've seen, the monetary blessings, the things that you thought maybe weren't quite possible. But I mean, I know you have some pretty amazing, you have a pretty amazing car. I know you have a pretty amazing lifestyle. I know that you're able to do some pretty incredible things in life. What do you say to the doc who has the mentality that, because you said that we're servants, a lot of docs are servants, and we are, but what do you say to the doc who is not collecting because they just want to serve? Now, we can't give of the abundance we don't have, but what do you say to those doctors who are just starting or have been practicing that are at that level where they're not charging, or they're not charging enough, because then they start to get stagnant and burned out later on because they don't have financial abundance? What do you say to those docs? How do they get there?
So there's a lot of layers to what you've laid out there, and I'm going to kind of start with core values. We all have core values, and none of them are bad, but they're different. And some people have core values of abundance. Some people have core values of philanthropy. Mm-hmm. Some people have core values of recognition. Look at me. We have to know who we are. And sometimes we're a little combination of a couple. My core values I've discovered, and I encourage everyone to discover their core values. And, you could just Google core values. There's probably a list of like 50 of them. And you just kind of look down the list and knock it down to 10 and then to 5 and then to 2 or 3. And you say, wow, that is me. That's me. And now I know me, and I know why I don't charge for an adjustment. And I'm not suggesting you don't, unless you want to do mission trips. I think if you don't want to charge, you should just be doing mission trips, and hopefully you have enough money to be able to do that. But it's very depleting to deliver a valuable service and not get reimbursed for it on some level. I don't care if they're bringing you fruits and vegetables or green money. It's important because there's a law of exchange. You can't love, if you love somebody and they don't love you back in a relationship, that relationship can't work. There has to be some exchange of love. And in chiropractic, there has to be an exchange of service. So we have to know our core values. My core values are passion and commitment. I don't have, and this is interesting, and I'm not ashamed to say this, I'm not an abundance guy. I know abundance is a big word in chiropractic. Everybody wants to be abundant. And I'd heard this word for many years and couldn't understand why I had difficulty achieving this abundance that everybody talked about, whether it was Tony Robbins or seminars of chiropractic, and you had to, get a lot of stuff. Stuff never interested me that much. What interested me was having a purpose in life, a life direction, something that allowed me to use my gifts. And what happened was when I came in alignment with that, guess what happened? Abundance started coming in without even me asking for it. And I was able to accumulate things. And honestly, those things don't matter that much to me. I have them because I can have them. Look, I'm 64 years old. If I'm going to get them, I better get them now. But at the end of the day, I understand who I am. So as chiropractors, we need to understand who we are. If you're about money, that's okay. But know that's what you're about. If you're about people, that's okay too. But you have to get paid if you're about people, and you have to love people if you're about money, because that's really the key. And yes, some people are not empathetic. We've all met people that are not empathetic. It doesn't make them bad, but they have to learn to become a little more empathetic, especially when they have children, especially when they have a wife, especially when they're taking care of people that have they're really hurting. If you are not empathetic when people are hurting, they're not going to trust you. They're going to think you're an ogre or whatever they're going to think. But at the end of the day, we have to grow. We have to become students. We have to become students of the philosophy. We have to become students of the art, and we have to maintain an understanding and become students of the science if that's our core value. Why don't we have a lot of research and money in the science aspect of chiropractic? Because most chiropractors are heart people, they're feeling people, they're relationship people, or they are technique oriented. They want to become the best at their own technique. So we have to really discern these things in chiropractic, unpack them, pull them apart, and then determine in which direction that we go. And for me, and a lot of people don't know this, but when Dr. Cordero asked me to join him at Sherman College, and the college was literally failing when he went up there. It was getting ready to graduate out. They were thinking of selling the property. I mean, it wasn't in great shape. And he started to turn that ship. And when he turned that ship, he called me and he said, "Hey, I need your help. This thing is on the move. I need someone with your skill set." And I didn't even think about it. I said yes. I gave up everything. I sold my practice. I left my house. I left my family here. My son was still in undergrad school, and I went up to Spartanburg, South Carolina. I lived in a 2-bedroom apartment for a year, getting that school going, traveling the world. I've been to 4 continents, of course, over time, not in that first year, but we got that school going. So my passion and commitment is what got me to that point, that was able to deliver this success that Sherman College is now enjoying through the vision of Ed Cordero, the hard work and the of Neil Cohen, and the rest of the team that we have there. I cannot leave them out. We have an incredible team at Sherman College that has contributed to our success.
I love that, Neil. Thank you. That truth you taught is knowing your core values. And a lot of times you'll be able to see exactly what you want to amplify and what you may want to self-master. You'll say, you know what, I can honestly say I don't like this aspect about my character. I say this, yet I do something different. Or, wow, I love this part of me. I can truly be humble and say, I love this. And you can amplify that. And you're absolutely right. Sherman, I didn't go to Sherman. The school I went to, my mentors at a school, or I apologize, my mentors getting me into chiropractic said, I didn't like the school I went to. I don't like the school I went to. We heard great things about this other school. We hear good things about their business program, not chiropractic. And I was told, you can get chiropractic anywhere. You'll get chiropractic, you'll be taught it anywhere, but they got good business. So that's what I went, because I didn't know any better. My life had been changed by chiropractic, by understanding how that my body can heal itself, and that it just needed chiropractic as that tool, as that engine in order to drive that. But that is why our allegiance and our love, our hearts, our time, our treasures are going to Sherman. And that is really what is shaking this world, to see the difference. It was so amazing. I was just down the road from Sherman, and so I took Ubers every day, back and forth. And there were several who said, oh, I know this place. I know this place. And there were some that were new. And I said, do you know what this place is? So this is the Harvard of chiropractic. This is where the greatest hearts and minds. And I had 2 Uber drivers, who said, I'm actually getting done with my shift. Could I walk around? Yeah. So I don't know if I'd introduce you to Herman, Hermie. So he goes by Hermie. And I said, this is insane. I go, we lovingly call a lot of people Shermies. You go by Hermie? I go, you're going to fit in here just well. And so Hermie said, I'm super excited, and I'm super excited to see that there's another opportunity for my body to be healthy, because he's got a lot of health problems and health concerns, and he's never had a spine check, he's never had his nervous system checked, so he's not expressing life. And that is what you guys stand for. Is you stand for and you fight for the expression of life, to be driven through the engine of chiropractic. What a powerful upswing Sherman is on right now. What a powerful upswing. How does that, I knew you had this vision to get here, but man, my heart is so full thinking of what you guys have done, you and Edwin and the team.
Well, we're grateful to the folks that are out there, because most of the students that are coming to Sherman College now are from graduates of other institutions. People are seeing the forest through the trees, and they're understanding that chiropractic education is happening at Sherman College. It's chiropractic alone. It's the best adjusters, the best associates are coming out of Sherman College. Sherman College is really dedicated. The curriculum is amazing. The faculty, the staff is amazing. And we've put together 4 times a year something called Showcase Sherman.
Yes.
And those docs that are out there listening, if you have any prospective students, please get in touch with me or get in touch with the college. Go on the website, sherman.edu/showcase. It'll give you the dates for Showcase Sherman. We literally host you for an entire weekend. We host a prospective student and their family. We bring them in, we feed them, we put them through leadership training. They get their feet on the campus. They meet our faculty, staff. They go through philosophy class, palpation. They understand the finances behind what it takes to get a chiropractic education. Mark Twain had an incredible quote. He said, the 2 most important days in your life, the day you're born and the day you find out why. And there's a movie called Jerry Maguire, and a lot of the young folks won't remember it, but there was a scene where he met this girl and she goes, "You had me at hello." If you get your feet on campus, we have you at hello. And Jake, you experienced that this weekend. So Sherman is the place to be if you want to learn chiropractic, if you want to be the most successful chiropractor on the planet.
My understanding before was like, wow, we're growing, we're getting more schools. This is great, getting more education out there. But there's a very few amount who are truly philosophically based, who truly guard the sacred trust. And that is what Sherman is. And that is the only place that we recommend that our students go, that our practice members go. Neil, thank you for teaching us, and thank you for sharing your love, your wisdom, to understand our core values, that in order to truly be successful, we have to understand those 4 principles that our dear friend Christopher Kent put and he's one of the smartest men, he and Mo, he's one of the smartest people on earth, to put it so simply and so powerfully, that when you hear someone that intelligent go back to those basics, you got to turn your head and listen. We love you. We're grateful for you. We're grateful for Sherman. We're grateful for the upswing that we are in our profession. You have our hearts. You have our support. Look into Sherman for your continuing education. Look into Sherman to the future, because this is truly what is going to protect our practice and propel you to further levels of success. So thank you, Neil. I can't wait to have you on the Chiropractors Edge again. Until then, there's no place like Sherman, and there's no one else like Neil Cohen.
Humbled to be here. Thank you.